Indeed. Now, before we get cooking in the kitchen, a moment for us to quickly just reflect on the impact of the coronavirus and the COVID-19 pandemic, especially on those that are less fortunate, that don't have food on the table, people that are literally walking around hungry every single day. Now, Woolies has gone out there and made a plan to assist as much as they can, and you can get involved as well with their Fill It Bag campaign. And through this, each bag will be filled with a balance of protein and fresh fruit and vegetables and other staples, as well as hygiene products to help curb the spread of COVID-19. Now, for as little as 10 Rand, you can provide a person with 3 meals for a day. So just scan the QR code that is on your screen right now using your SnapScan app or your banking app to donate today. And any donation will help and will make a big difference. Go out there and be the difference and challenge all of your friends who can, all of your family members who can. See how much of a difference you can make. Now, the big question of the day in the kitchen is, do you struggle with cooking the perfect steak? I know I do. Do you know how long it should cook for to be perfectly rare or medium rare? Graham, do you know?
Thank you, Matt.
You are the master, you say. So he says. Okay, well, let's see how far you are mastering your craft of cooking the perfect steak. Chef Clem is here in the kitchen to give us all of the tips and tricks to grilling the perfect steak every single time, and especially what a perfect time right now to even talk about that is just in time for the weekend.
I know, absolutely. And I like weekend challenges and like mastering a skill over the weekend.
Yeah.
And if steak is one of the skills that you need to master, this weekend is the weekend to do it.
All right, so Graham has just left the building, and I was just about to quiz him very quickly about how long it's supposed to cook for it to be rare and medium rare, but he says he's the master.
He is actually, because I mean, he's on this like really a protein-rich diet right now. So man is eating steak with a side of steak. So he knows his meat right now.
Okay, wait, quick quiz, Graham. How long for a rare steak? How long for a medium rare?
I don't time it anymore. I've gotten to the point where I just touch it. I do the knuckle. I go like this, and I can tell it via its bounce exactly where it needs to be, dude. I've transcended.
Does anybody believe that?
I've transcended. Honestly,
Does anybody believe that?
I've transcended space and time. If you're still needing to time, then you don't have the intuitive feel, but
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
All right. No sharp.
Okay, I'll accept that. Because let's talk about the first steak we're gonna make. It's a peppered fillet steak, right?
Yes.
And I like the fact that Graham didn't give you a direct answer because there's no direct answer. There's no direct answer.
There is no direct answer.
The thing is, right, all steaks cook differently. A fillet cooks differently to a ribeye cooks. Rabbi? We don't cook our rabbis. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. A fillet cooks differently to a ribeye, cooks differently to a sirloin. So it's all about feel. You use all your senses. No rabbis were harmed in the making of this segment. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the fillet, right?
Yes.
Fillet is the most tender cut of beef.
I'm surprised you say fillet and not filet.
It's okay. It's the mood. I'm in a fillet mood today. Yeah.
Really?
The filet mignon. No, it's okay. Depends. I'm in a Friday chilled mood. Okay, so let's talk about why it's so tender, right? It's such a long. Okay, I'm sorry to the camera guy. I didn't give you a warning, but can you zoom in a little bit on that little red line on the?
I love that they actually show you on the packaging where that part of the where that meat comes from.
For sure.
On the animal.
I like that too. Cool. If you kind of look at that, that's a part of the cow that doesn't do a lot of working, right?
Yeah.
It sits on the back.
And it's hanging around there. Yeah.
So because it's not an overly worked muscle, it's very tender. We spoke about this, like your muscles that you have, if you work them, they get harder.
You know what I mean? That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay, I see that.
You don't want to be cooking that.
No.
You can't chew through that.
You cannot. No. Okay, so the fillet's beautiful, super tender. We turn the heat out. You don't need such a screaming hot heat for that.
That is some heat that you've got going on there. Is that the point? You want to get your pan very hot?
That's too hot.
That's
too hot. I'll tell you why. So I'm going to cool down, take it off the heat for a bit. Okay, so fillet doesn't need a very long cooking time. There's not a lot of muscle, not a lot of fat going through that muscle. You can see it's a very lean cut of meat.
Yes.
Fat protects meat from overcooking, keeping it nice and juicy and soft and tender.
Yes.
But if you don't have that extra fat, you got to be careful. Low and slow is not the vibe here. It's fast and hot.
So can the equation then be made that the higher the content of fat, the longer the cooking time?
Not necessarily, because you don't want to push the meat to the point where it's almost dried out. You don't want to rend out all that fat. The fat is flavor in the meat. You want to keep a bit of that. But when it's a meat like fillet that's a bit lean, you got to be more careful not to dry it out.
Okay. It dries out very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a peppered fillet. So the reason I don't want that pan screaming hot is because there's oil in pepper. If it's too hot, it's going to burn. And when it burns, it goes bitter. You don't really want that. So you're going to be very careful with your heat. So pepper going in there and salt, okay? Be generous with your salt. It's a thick piece of meat. And it's a peppered fillet, so make sure there's pepper in there.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's a lot of pepper.
People
Okay.
under-season the steaks. The difference between a restaurant steak and the steak you make at home is the fact that you're not seasoning it as much as they do in a restaurant.
Okay, all
So
right.
season. Okay, cool.
So we learn.
One for you, one for me.
Okay, good.
Cool. And just get it in there. Make sure you really get that crust on there. It's called a pepper crusted fillet, so you want it to be crusted. It's not just seasoned. You want it to be on there. And I'm using flaked salt, okay, instead of the fine salt.
Yes, why?
If you use a fine salt, I do that when I season steaks ahead of time. I use a fine salt, so the fine salt could really penetrate through the meat.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Right now with the flake salt, I can actually get quite a bit on it, but because it's got doesn't have as much surface area as a normal fine salt, I can actually be more liberal with it.
Okay,
And
yeah.
when-
Otherwise, you might just oversalt your steak and then just.
You might assault your steak. Yeah, that's a mistake. Don't do that. Okay. So.
What? Coming through with the punchline.
All right,
Yes,
all
sir.
right.
You got some ghee there.
Talk about the ghee. So we always say if you're gonna cook with butter, add a bit of oil to your pan as well because your butter will burn. However, ghee has a high cooking temperature. So normally when your butter burns, ghee's not gonna do that. So you can cook a steak in ghee, just ghee, and you get that ultra rich, decadent buttery flavor in your steak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those of us that only know ghee as the garb you wear before you do your karate katas, what is ghee?
Okay. So basically what they've done is they've taken butter, slowly cooked it, separated the milk solids from all that fat, and then scooped it off. The part that they scoop off is the part that burns in the pan. When you take that out, you've got this beautiful butter that can literally, you could deep fry in it if you wanted to.
Wow.
But I mean, that's a bit much. Don't do that, don't do that. So,
You could.
we would.
Now, here we go.
Okay, so let's talk about this, nice and hot. I like resting my salt and pepper on my steaks for about like 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Also, another thing is you want to make sure that your steaks are taken out. Let me put it down and we can talk about it. Make sure you take your steak out the fridge half an hour before you cook it.
Yeah.
You want the steak to come to temperature before it goes into the pan. I have a demonstration as to how this works.
How?
Are you willing to do it for me?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So imagine young Katlego's running outside, right? And it's cold right now, because it is cold right now.
Yeah.
And Katlego's mom says, Katlego, come inside, you must bath now. You come inside, right? Your mom's running a hot bath, right?
Yes.
Little naked Katlego sits there, he's about to get into the bath, and he puts his cold bottom into the hot water. Can you please stand up? Can you turn around? Can cameraman please get a little zoom on Katlego's bottom right now?
What's this for?
What happens when Katlego's cold bottom hits that hot water? Ah!
Ouch! Ouch!
Ah!
Ouchies!
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
Exactly.
That's what you mean. Okay.
Yes. So what you need to do, if Katlego comes inside
And
he
warms up first.
he warms up first,
Then
and,
it's
and then he relaxes into
that
the
makes
water.
sense. Yeah. Otherwise, your steak goes.
Huh? Okay, all right, I like that. That was so cool. Look at Graham and Taviso. They're still on the fact that Katlego, how did you do that?
Where's your butt? You have no...
Sure. Achoo. 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 Why are we doing this? For your entertainment.
It's for your
All right.
education.
For your education,
So,
more than
we've
entertainment,
rested our steaks, and it's had about a minute on that side. It's got a beautiful crust that you can see
minute
that,
each,
right?
all round.
Yeah, but a fillet, be careful, a fillet doesn't just have two sides. It doesn't just have top and bottom. It's also got a round. So what
Okay.
you're gonna do is you need to rotate that steak in the pan, get that extra color on there. Don't be, if you need butter, add more butter.
Get the ghee in
get the ghee. And then, if you're feeling fancy, are you feeling fancy?
Oh, you're about to do this right now. Check out the expressoshow.com website for the recipe.
I put the heat on. I put the heat on.
He
I put
was
the heat
trying to
on.
flambe it. He's about, flambe.
It's a little bit. It's a little
Steak
bit.
bay.
No, it's okay. We'll do it in the next one because Nicole's looking at me like he just threw the butter all over my counter. Oh, okay.
All right, listen.
Okay.
Gotta go.
So what's
Gotta
gonna
go.
happen is, right, your steak's gonna cook, you take it out. It's important that your steak rests. It must rest before you end up cutting into it. All those juices and all the proteins have contracted inside your steak. If you don't rest it, it's gonna slice out. Is the producer screaming at me?
They are screaming at me, buddy.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, beautiful steak. We've rested it now. Slice it up.
That looks great.
This is for the nature boy. This is all his. Steak for breakfast. That's the way.
Oh, man. Goodness. Wow.
Woo!
Lovely stuff. All right, we'll return with more deliciousness later on. Check out the recipe on expressoshow.com.